52.
Hello and welcome on into episode 52 of the Wise Guys podcast. I may have butchered that, and I'm sorry if I did. I am John Tortorelli with my co-hosts Brennan Capizzello and Justin Ray. I have to be honest with y'all, to all of our listeners out there, if you do not know, all three of us went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting together. I am from the state of New Jersey, Justin is from New York, and BCAP, BC, is from Connecticut. And I was saying, New Jersey is the best of the three. I think you have the lowest taxes at 0.07. I'm not quite sure what is in those states. I like being stuffed in between Philly and then New York, all the way up north. It's not too bad.
Listen, go ahead, Justin, Mr. New York guy over here.
This guy doesn't even know New York is the center of the universe. And specifically, I'm going to be honest, I think the Bronx is the center of the universe. But New Jersey, as I said before, we were getting into this big argument about this. New Jersey smells like cow shit. I just can't get accustomed to that. I know I'm in Jersey when I smell it. I go there to see my aunt all the time. Jersey stinks. Connecticut is okay. I mean, I wouldn't mind living there, but it's not New York. It's not.
Listen, New York also smells, so you guys are kind of both on that same boat. But
it doesn't smell here, I can tell you.
It does smell in Jersey, John.
Where? Show me the receipts. Otherwise, it's all talk. Otherwise, it's all talk.
Don't get me started on the tap water.
It depends on where you are.
Do not get me started on that. New York City has the cleanest tap water system in the country.
Listen, I know one thing. I know one thing for a fact. This is undebatable. Connecticut has the best pizza. Let's move on.
Baloney.
Oh, New Haven. New Haven pizza.
Baloney.
Nobody
Haven
cares
pizza.
about New Haven.
Listen, until you've tried Sally's a pizza, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me.
I'm pretty sure I went to Sally's last August.
Yep. Best pizza in the world.
You're met with disappointment, right?
Nope.
I thought it was good, but I'll be honest with you, there's a pizzeria in my town that I think's better. It's got a good thin crust pizza.
No. Nope.
There's a pizza spot right up the block from my house, Frank's. Some of the best pizza you'll find, but the best pizza I ever had is up in New Rochelle. It's called Pizza Center. I just had some the other day. Bro, a Chipotle chicken slice.
Oh my God. What the hell are you doing, dude? Why are you putting so much on the pizza? Relax,
dude,
man.
There we go. That's exactly why I know that Connecticut pizza is ass. Because he doesn't know flavor.
No, that's not it.
That's true. If you don't have the right flavor, it's not that good.
Nah, you guys don't get it. It's all right. You gotta keep it simple. You gotta keep it simple. You're putting all this stuff on it, putting a hat on a hat.
All right, vanilla man.
What's your go-to slice?
Me, I'm a meatball kind of guy.
Okay, I can't disrespect it, but
it's like a meatball grinder. You don't like meatball grinders?
What?
I'm not.
How do you tell me I put too much on a pizza? You put the same amount of stuff I do, probably. What? It's what goes on it? A meatball with what?
Meatball and cheese. What are you talking about?
A meatball and cheese. And mine's is just Chipotle sauce and chicken.
Yeah, but you're putting too much on there.
That's not
why
a
are you
big
putting
deal.
the Chipotle
I might
sauce
have the best
on there?
one.
Get out of here, man.
Sweet and spicy buffalo chicken.
No, that's basic. You're basic.
Well, it's kind of like it's sweet and tangy, less so basic. Spicy. It's not. It's got a tad bit of spice. No. I think that's better than the Chipotle, but I haven't tried the Chipotle one yet.
When are you guys coming to New York so I can take you to my pizza spot?
I was in New York a couple of weeks ago. I was lost as a kite.
Yeah, you wouldn't have found your way to me if I left it up to you. I'm gonna have to pick you up.
Oh boy. I hope we can all agree that Hawaiian pizza is not the pizza. Ham does not belong. I mean, pineapple does not belong on pizza.
Only for Domino's.
No.
Only Domino's.
In no way. Domino's isn't really pizza, but okay.
But I'm saying only they can get away with pineapple pizza. But before we continue, guys, I also want to apologize to our fans. The couple that we have. Excuse these two hooligans for not doing anything crazy special for our 50th episode that I couldn't be here for. They should have been wearing party hats. There should have been confetti. There should have been something. So excuse them for being vanilla. The spice is back.
We were not being vanilla. We were wearing baseball stuff in honor of Justin not being for episode 50, but he doesn't want to bring up that point.
Because I expected pizzazz, man. I need pizzazz out of you guys. Don't worry, guys. Thanksgiving's coming up. They'll be wearing turkey hats.
No.
I will not be wearing a turkey hat.
I hate you guys.
Maybe I will show you the apple pie that I'll be eating, but...
Did you make it?
I didn't. My mom makes the apple pie.
Okay, so I don't want to see it.
Really? What do you mean you don't want to see it?
I don't want to see it. I thought
Yeah, you do.
you brought
Wait,
something to the table for Thanksgiving, but you just
I
bring
I
yourself.
did bring something to the table. I brought myself.
No, I knew you were
That's a
gonna.
pretty good. That's a pretty good value. I'd have to say so myself.
All right,
I bring value.
ready to get on with the show.
All right, let's talk some
Let's start
football.
off today with one of the more hot takes. The Packers lost their 7th game of the season on Thursday night versus Tennessee Titans. Green Bay plays in one of, if not the worst division in football. Let's get that out of the way. And to start the year 4-7, Aaron Rodgers has played better recently with Christian Watson improving. Was it 4 TDs in the last 2 weeks? That's great to see. But the Packers season's over. We can all acknowledge it's time for Indianapolis for Green Bay. They failed themselves in 2022 when they didn't go with top-notch receiver. George Pickens dropped the wide-open touchdown Sunday, but I still would say, rather convincingly, he is a lot better than Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt. But with all that out of the way, the Packers' mistakes are in the past. I believe they need to start Jordan Love soon. Because in the NFC, they're not grabbing a wildcard spot. Aaron Rodgers ranks 26th, 27th this year in QBR. It's very clear to me he's not going to carry this team, which is just not a good team at all. It's not a playoff caliber squad. So I'm going to hit it to you guys. Should Jordan Love start in the next 2 weeks?
No, I'm still gonna say no. It's Aaron Rodgers. You don't do that. At the end of the day, the Packers have shown to us that they are not convinced about Jordan Love. We know that. And I'm sorry. I feel like I saw Jordan Love start a regular season game. And while, yeah, albeit maybe that was his first start in a tough environment, I believe the game was in Kansas City. Am I right? Tough spot to throw your rookie in. Yeah. But the fact that this guy hasn't sniffed much playing time or Packers haven't threatened to just go with this guy when they could have done it to start this season, that just tells me all I need to know. I don't think he's ready. I don't think the Packers necessarily believe in him. And if you're gonna look at me or look at this Packers situation and say that they're the way they are because of Aaron Rodgers, you're crazy. They're not. I think they have the guy under center, and they've had him for all these years. I think the Packers should be trying to wine and dine the guy, trying to get him that number one receiver to give themselves opportunity. Because guess what? He's not getting any younger. This Packers situation, this window is closing shut, and it's closing fast. Just the last couple of years, Rodgers has been appearing in NFC title games. And that's how you repay him? No. I think they need to go in, invest in their quarterback big time. You're never going to get another Devontae Adams. You're not. I'm sorry. But you still can put better pieces on the field than what you already have. Packers are a good team, quality team. They should be winning way more than 4 games. They should not be 4-7 right now. So no Jordan Love. Keep Rodgers there because you know what? You never know. Maybe they do get hot or a little run to keep Aaron happy or optimistic about the next season.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, there's 6 games left. I said when we posed this question a couple weeks ago, I believe, that you don't start Jordan Love until you're mathematically out of the playoff picture, and they are currently still in that playoff picture. Obviously, everything would have to go right, but they're still in it mathematically. Again, I agree with Justin's sentiments. They've shown the Green Bay Packers have shown their hand. They could have went with Jordan Love and traded Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. They decided not to do that. I don't think the question is should they start Jordan Love in the next 2 weeks. I think the real question is Aaron Rodgers going to be a Green Bay Packer come next season?
No. Okay. So the reason why I pose this question is because everybody thinks Jordan Love is a bust, but he is the one quarterback from the 2020 NFL draft that hasn't gotten that starting opportunity. We've seen with Jalen Hurts, it takes time for these players to develop. And with a project like Love, no kidding, the Packers didn't choose him because he is raw. When something needs seasoning, you have to give them reps. And one step further, when you're behind the 2-time reigning NFL MVP, who goes and wins that award twice right after you were drafted, you kind of were what lit the fire under his you-know-what to help him have 2 of his best career seasons. Yeah, for Brian Gutekunst and the Packers, there was not a whole lot of pressure because they were comfortable with Aaron Rodgers. Why would they deviate from that knowing, hey, look, we're going to take a step back with Jordan Love because he's nowhere near as polished as a top 5 quarterback in the league? Now, is that Jordan Love's fault, or is that on the Packers front office for not being able to recognize, hey, maybe we should surround Aaron with a couple of these receivers? MVS, Devontae Adams. If you could have kept at least one of them, that would have made a difference here. You chose to keep neither. So in theory, you should move Rodgers because he does not click instantly with these young receivers. They chose not to, and this year it's been a fool's errand. They had picked things up, and yes, they're not mathematically eliminated from the postseason. But when you look at their next 6 games, that Philadelphia next week, it's probably going to be a loss. Then after that, the schedule really does open up, and it's the best way to get a young quarterback out there.
I was just gonna say, and I've made this point before. It's about, like, listen, they're obviously not seeing what they need to see in practice, and like, how are you going to trust somebody when they're not showing you what they need to show you in practice, in game time? How are you going to trust that person? You can't have any trust in that person.
Brandon,
Go ahead.
was Jordan Love a polished prospect as a quarterback coming out?
No, he should have never been a first-round draft pick. Everybody said that at the time. Should not have been a first-round draft pick. If the Packers don't take him there, he's not a first-round pick.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
I think some team would have, like the 32nd pick. You get him, you get that extra year as a
I highly
option.
doubt it. I mean, we would have to look at the teams that were picking right behind them. I highly doubt that. Those teams usually are the established ones with a quarterback. That's why it was shocking to see Green Bay take him when they needed a receiver, and they didn't take a receiver or an offensive player really to begin with.
That might go down as probably the stupidest draft move I've seen in a long time.
I don't think it was a stupid draft move.
No, it was.
It was not.
Because when you draft him and then you go out of your way to also extend your quarterback, and you had it like Brandon just said, you had a chance to trade him. Now it's just looking like a useless first-round pick.
It's because they were trying to get ahead of the curve. They were like, oh, but Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing like dog crap when they drafted Jordan Love. They were trying to get ahead of the curve and being like, oh, well, you know, most quarterbacks fall off usually around this age, so we're going to get ahead of the curve, kind of like what Bill did with Jimmy Garoppolo. Listen, you can't predict these things with all the time. You can't. You got to go with the guy, and you got to just have your full faith in him. This is your guy for right now. It's a win now league. It's not win for the future.
No,
tomorrow's
I think
not
they
guaranteed.
just got cute. I think it was just a move that they got a little too cute with. They hit the lottery when they got Aaron Rodgers, and he got to sit behind Brett Favre. Not every quarterback is going to be as good as Aaron Rodgers is, even if you sit them 4 years behind a quarterback. If Ryan Mallett sat 4 years behind Tom Brady, Ryan Mallett does not turn into the next Tom Brady. No, he doesn't. Some people aren't built like that. So they went in there with the expectation of, hey, he can sit a couple of years and we could just run it back with him. No, that's not how it works. Aaron Rodgers is one of a kind. Jordan Love is Jordan Love.
Okay. This is where I fundamentally disagree with you guys. The Jordan Love draft pick by the Packers was not a mistake because, number one, without him being there, I don't think Aaron Rodgers plays at the level he just did the last 2 years. There's not going to be as much motivation, as much of a fire. So I think that was huge. But number two, the real issue was going quarterback and not receiver in the second or third round. They go power back with A.J. Dillon, and we've seen typically receiver is more useful than a second running back. And then in the third round, they take a tight end who is barely playing for them. If either of those 2 mid-round picks became something of substance, and let's say that was a very good receiver, I mean, heck, a Chase Claypool, one of those guys who were very valuable for their current teams through 3 years, that would have been a big difference. And I don't think we will look at it at Jordan Love with so much scrutiny now. And look, I'm going to say it all the time with Jordan Love. For any raw, unpolished quarterback with all the tools we've seen with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes is the one outlier. It takes them time to get better. They don't sit behind Aaron Rodgers and get no game reps with the exception to a few preseason games, and all of a sudden, things click. Because with Rodgers, he struggled until he got those starting opportunities. And for some quarterbacks, they learn at different curves than others. I think Jordan Love has the entire package. The size, the arm strength, the talent, the accuracy, and the mobility to extend plays. It's just a matter of him getting out there, learning coverages. Because in that Chiefs game, he's going up against the Steve Spagnuolo defense, seeing coverages he was never seeing in the Mountain West. It takes a quarterback like him time to grow. The same way with Josh Allen. People would have called Josh Allen a bust midway through his second season as a starter. It takes all of these quarterbacks reps, learn experiences, and most of all, growing pains. And for Love, he hasn't experienced them yet. So for me, I look at the Packers' last 5 games this year. After this Eagles game, I personally would not bench Rodgers this week. But assuming they lose to Philadelphia on the road, I surely think if you're 4-8, you start Jordan Love right then and there. Your last 5 games are against Chicago. The Rams are basically out of the playoffs already. The Dolphins, that's a great litmus test. It could be Jordan Love's 3rd start. And then you have Minnesota at home and the Lions to wrap up the season. I think that's a great way for Jordan Love to go into his 3rd year, knowing all of us are aware Aaron Rodgers next year is probably going to be somewhere else. Whether he decides to retire or says, you know what, I kind of just want to go to a top-tier contender, some team that's going to give me a better opportunity. Whether it is San Francisco, who knows? I think there's some team out there that feels like Aaron Rodgers gives them a better opportunity of winning it all.
That's what I want to really pin down on. Like, so what are your guys' predictions for Aaron Rodgers next year? Do you think he retires? And if he stays in the NFL and he gets traded, which team out there do you think, or a couple teams out there that you look at? Obviously, John mentioned the 49ers. That's a hometown for Aaron Rodgers. He wanted to be drafted by the 49ers, and that would be major. I mean, you could kind of maybe work out a deal. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you guys heard a report. I was just reading earlier today that a possibility would be a swap of QBs. Aaron Rodgers to the Vegas Raiders, Derek Carr to Green Bay, to keep Devontae Adams there in Vegas.
No.
I would do that if I'm Vegas. 100% I would do that.
That defense, it falls off the steepest cliff after Max Crosby and Nate Hobbs, who's on IR. I mean, that cliff, it drops off from like superstardom to you're below ocean level.
Imagine Rodgers to New England.
I know the Patriots could use a quarterback like the Jets, for sure.
I could see the Jets actually making that kind of move, the way that shit seems to be going down with Zach Wilson. They seem to have a roster that's playoff ready. The defense is playoff caliber. O-line, when healthy, if Mekhi Becton and Vera Tucker were healthy, maybe we'd be talking about them a little bit differently too. Yeah, why can't the Jets even make a play at Aaron Rodgers?
Maybe this is a hot take, but I feel like the Jets are a quarterback away. They can upgrade the tackle spots to help that quarterback dropping back. But when you look at the defense, it's top tier. They just went blow to blow with New England and Bill Belichick. And I feel like if Zach Wilson completes more than 9 passes on Sunday and is able to at least hit guys in the flats and keep the ball moving and not put the ball in harm's way, which he did multiple times, that is a team that can easily win 11 games. And that AFC East, they could win the division with Aaron Rodgers, no questions asked, because you have the team in place. The running game this year has been creative, and when you get Breece Hall next year, may take him some time coming off the ACL, but we do know what he's capable of. So I think the Jets are a sleeper team. But would they trade for Aaron Rodgers, you guys think? Let's say they give up a first-round pick.
Yeah. Think about this. Lamar Jackson is set to be a possible free agent, potentially. There's not too many teams. I mean, that's going to be a big, hefty contract that somebody's going to have to give out to him. I can see the Jets being one. But if the Jets are going to go, I don't know. I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers would be a cheaper route. Not necessarily cheap, because he does have a pretty big contract, but it's cheaper than what you'd be dishing out to Lamar.
Yeah. For me, it's like you look at it, and obviously there's like probably, I mean, we're talking Aaron Rodgers here, right? Like, let's be, this is Aaron freaking Rodgers. These quarterbacks don't come available like they so with Rodgers, it's just basically any team except for maybe, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 of them are not going to be calling about Aaron Rodgers to get an Aaron Rodgers. Tennessee Titans come to mind. The Indianapolis Colts, they've gone the route of the old quarterbacks, but this would be a major upgrade. New England Patriots, like John said, the Saints would be a good option. But there's just a multitude of teams that would be like, Aaron Rodgers is available. Okay, I'm calling the Green Bay Packers phone line. And it'd have to be a king's ransom. I would imagine it's going to start at three first-round picks.
Washington also.
I would 100, John, that's not like that. I would 100% believe that the starting bid would be 3 first-round picks. at bare minimum.
He's turning 39 years old.
That means nothing to the Green Bay Packers. That means absolutely nothing to the Green Bay Packers.
Buster.
I think that's a
Because
lot.
they're gonna get
That's a
less
lot for a
less return.
39-year-old quarterback.
Fine.
I don't even
do you
think
want to win a Super Bowl or not?
I get that.
What would
But
you
I'm
do
gonna be
to
honest
win a
with you,
Super
but
Bowl?
that's if I'm a GM. But realistically, I don't even think the Patriots would have gotten 3 first-round picks for Tom Brady at 39.
I think they would have.
I don't think so. Because you run the risk of this guy just up and leaving at any given moment. That's a
Tom Brady's a little bit of different.
That's Russian roulette right there. I don't want to play that.
That's a little different. There was no weariness of Tom Brady leaving. Rodgers, I can give you that because he's openly talked about it. But obviously, that would be a striking point. They would have to get confirmation that Rodgers. This is all going under the assumption Rodgers is okay with the trade and wants to go play for another team. That's where this all lies with. We have to go under the assumption that is the case. I'm telling you, I think the bid starts at 3 first-round picks. It's like, do you want to win a Super Bowl or not? If you're a quarterback away, I'll take 3-4 incredible years of Aaron Rodgers. Let's go.
You know, I can't. I'll be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up still in Green Bay. But my number one destination would be a little taste of deja vu. The Jets went and got Brett Favre years ago. I think if Aaron Rodgers is not in Green Bay, he'll still be wearing green, but just with the Jets.
I like that. So Russell Wilson was given up for 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 good players, tight end and D tackle. He was guaranteed $165 million, and the Broncos have the worst scoring offense in football. Aaron Rodgers' age matters, BCAP, because he could retire after 1 season. And so for that franchise, knowing it's unpredictable, the nature of which when he's going to decide he's hanging the cleats up, you're not going to invest more than 2 first-rounders, I think. Maybe a couple of seconds and day 2s. That's the most, given what the market is. Deshaun Watson, who knows what that trade's going to look like. Matt Ryan, Colts gave up less, but that's been a train wreck. I don't think we're going to see continually the storybook first season chapters way we have with Tom Brady back in 2020 and Matthew Stafford in 2021.
Oh, yeah, I told you the only weariness would obviously we're going under the assumption that Aaron Rodgers is going to and is, gave them the confirmation that he's going to stay for the remainder of his contract, which I believe is 4 years or 3 more years after this year. But yeah, I mean, we can argue over semantics. All right, if you want to say 2 first-round picks and maybe a second or some good players too, fine. We're arguing over semantics. I'm saying the bidding price is going to start at an incredibly high rate. That's kind of really what I was getting at with the 3 first-round picks.
Sure, that's where negotiations are always going to start.
Yep.
It's definitely going to be a interesting offseason. And and believe me, it'll get started if the Packers do in fact start Jordan Love in one of the next 2-3 games. Oh, we'll start hearing stuff because I know Rodgers wouldn't be happy about it. I know he's not openly going to volunteer himself to sit down.
No, he's not. And another team that is voluntarily sitting down this year, fittingly, is defending champion Los Angeles Rams. They are now 3-7 to start this year. And I told you guys a few weeks ago, how much is a Super Bowl really worth? Because we say a Super Bowl victory and a championship in any sport buys a team 5 seasons. But when you look at how much the Los Angeles Rams invested into the current team and how poorly they have played this year, you can very easily see straight to the lack of substance on this team. They've missed in the draft. Around the edges, they've struggled to build depth and balance. The team has relied solely on stars, and now we're seeing in the NFL, it's not great teams. It's not great quarterbacks who win Super Bowls. Or sorry, let me repeat that. It's not great quarterbacks. It's not stars that win Super Bowls. It is great teams. The great quarterbacks will propel you to the highest levels. And after this loss versus the Saints, man, I understand no Cooper Kupp, but we can see straight through the Rams' issues. Shout out, I guess, to Tutu Atwell, 62-yard touchdown. Allen Robinson had a cameo. But when you look at the Rams currently, over the next 3 years, all these Sean McVay retiring rumors are going to pop up. Matthew Stafford has a concussion now. And ultimately, this is one of the worst teams in football. I'm going to hit it to you guys. BCAP. The Rams season, we know it's over. But what is the state of this franchise moving forward? And for a Ram fan, is the future now dim because of that one Super Bowl victory?
No, I don't think so. Obviously they're having a really down season. But I think going into the offseason, I think the problems are pretty apparent. I think we can all really like point to the problems. Obviously, I think for me personally, I think it all starts with the offensive line. I think that is the major problem. If the offensive line is just decent, like middle of the pack, I think this team is much better than they are now. And that's because the offense is able to sustain drives. They're not getting backed up all the time because of taking sacks. Matt Stafford's not rushed every freaking play. Uh, and then the defense is able to get some rest on the sideline because they're not going three and out, three and out, three and out, three and out, and the defense is having to come back out. So I think it starts with the O line. Uh, Here's a big question though: Is Aaron Donald gonna? I mean, talk about big. Is he gonna walk away? Because he was literally, basically, openly said, "I was gonna walk away. I was done," basically, and he came back. Is he done, or is he gonna come back? That's a major question for the Los Angeles Rams. I think losing him. I know this is gonna sound blasphemy, but I don't think it's the end of the world because I think he's got such a massive contract. I don't know how it really works out. I don't know if they'll probably pay it over time, maybe. Um, but that can kind of open up at least a little bit of the salary cap for them, a little leeway.
You know, oh, John, go for it.
So I'm gonna look this up real quick. The Aaron Donald contract specifics. Can you guys name the last Rams first round pick?
How long ago?
Is it Aaron Donald?
Was it Todd Gurley?
Closer.
Is he still on the team?
Oh,
No.
Trey Mason.
Is he still in the league?
of course.
Okay. Is it a defensive player or offensive?
Offense.
Offense.
Easy. Come
Who the
on.
hell is it?
Cooper Cup?
Oh no, he was far.
No, he's not on the team
Oh,
anymore. He's not on the team anymore.
2016 drafts.
Oh, okay.
This was a pretty important
It's
pick.
not a running.
I
It's not
missed
a running.
trivia.
Is it an O line? It's an O lineman.
This was kind of the number overall pick that played quarterback.
Jared Goff?
Oh, Jared Goff. Oh, wow. We
They
forgot
trade up
all
to get
about
him.
Mr. Goff.
So Aaron Donald's contract has an out after 2024. And in theory, you can kind of spread out over time. I
Yeah.
think for the Rams, the good thing is that they're only missing their first round pick in 2023. So they're not going to have it this year. So that's a 7 straight year, 2016 or 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23. 7 straight years, no firsts. But from that point on, they will have the majority of their cap or the majority of their draft picks. I look at this organization, and if McVay retires, they're going to go right back to the place they were in St. Louis. And with Matthew Stafford, this feels like Detroit 2.0. You're reliant on one player offensively, Calvin Johnson. The defense, have a superstar. You're getting Dominican Sue and some very other good players, Darius Slay. And we saw with that Lions defense when they won 11 games in 2015, 2016, you had a very good team in the making, but the consistency of it year in and year out is nowhere near as appetizing as you will like. I feel like for the Rams, this is kind of just the start. The franchise can't really draft too well. And most of all, when these stars start to age, we're going to see it's probably going to be one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in the NFC at the very least, and probably a bottom dweller right with Arizona in the NFC West.
You know the Rams remind me. I know Brandon's a big superhero buff and Marvel buff. I don't know about you, John, but I certainly hope you saw the movie. But they remind me of Thanos when I don't know which one it was, whether it be Endgame or whatever. But he gets asked by his daughter Gamora, "What did it cost?" And he says, "Everything, everything." So I feel like that's exactly what the Rams did. They sold out. They collected the Infinity Stones. They snapped the finger. They got their Super Bowl. And now at what cost? Because here you are with the potential of the report said that Sean McVay is tied to this core. And once this core is gone, so is he potentially. You know, that guy's going to make probably more money on TV than he does as a head coach if he retires. So he'll be happy.
Well, there was a report out a couple weeks ago that his his tenure is linked to the core basically of the Rams,
Yeah.
which is Stafford, Aaron Donald, Cup, and Jalen Ramsey. Uh, so if Aaron Donald goes, I think Sean McVay is still going to stay there. Uh, Obviously, so I think their main move is, I think they're going to probably go offensive line heavy in the draft. Um, Maybe sign a veteran left tackle because that's kind of like one of their main sticking point. I mean, you saw how it changed, like with Andrew Whitworth, when you have that mainstay left tackle, and people forget how important the left tackle is. I believe it's still the second highest paid position in the entire league, made famous by Mr. Lawrence Taylor. So yeah, I think the offensive line is going to get a major overhaul this offseason. Uh, Prayers up to Cooper Cup. I think he'll be able to bounce back and be ready by next season. Uh, Stafford, I think, like I said, when the offensive line gets figured out, I think he's going to be able to get back to his elite status. The run game is going to be looked at. The receiving core to me is fine. I don't know what they do with Allen Robinson. That's a good question. Do they get rid of him? Is that ship sailed basically? I don't know what you can really get for him on the trade market, to be honest with you,
Nothing.
especially, nothing. Yeah, nothing. Especially with that contract, I think he's making $15 million. So
30.
they've got some work to do. They've got some work to do, but I think I have the belief in Sean McVay. I have a belief in these stars on this team, and I think that they can get it figured out by next season.
So they have $6 million in cap for 2023. It's not a whole lot of wiggle room, especially to sign a veteran left tackle, but there are some players they can cut ties with. Not Cup, not Stafford. Those two guys are here to stay, but they can save a lot of money. Aaron Donald, $30 million in cap savings if he were to be cut, but they're not cutting Aaron Donald. If he were to retire, it's potential, who knows, that could support them in terms of, spraying out that money. But Aaron Donald is still top 5, top 3 defender in football. So it is a little bit tougher to say. If you lose him, you can spread the money elsewhere because no, that guy is still elite at what he does and he deserves the respect. With all that being said, talking about pretenders and contenders, we have 3 teams to discuss. And I'm sure BCAP wants to discuss also his New England Patriots, who got their 6th win of the season on Sunday. First team up, fellas. Pretender or contender, the Philadelphia Eagles. 9-1 start, emotional win for Nick Sirianni against the Indianapolis Colts, his former team, after Frank Reich was fired and wrongfully replaced by an inexperienced and unequipped coach who did a good job. That's not the point. Are the Eagles pretenders or contenders? We got to see on Sunday the additions of Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh to that defensive front with no Jordan Davis, and they added a huge boost.
Okay, I'm not gonna start panicking about the Eagles because of a couple of close games. I'm still gonna say that they are contenders. I think a lot of people, and I've seen the comments already. Now the Cowboys are right at their door, right there at the doorstep, and they can beat them. Yeah, they definitely can. But I feel like the Eagles are getting battle tested. These close games mean just as much now as they're going to mean when they go into the playoffs. That they're in these moments where they have to climb back and win. A big drive to close the game by Jalen Hurts and the boys. And I still think that they are the best team in the NFC. They haven't played their greatest lately. Miles Sanders has not been what he was earlier in the season. But all in all, I still think this is a very complete team. I think their additions are going to prove to be super impactful come later in the season. And yeah, I'm not ready to close the door off on them. And by the way, I had Indianapolis ranked pretty high entering the season. I don't think they're a bad roster. They were made to compete. And that's exactly what they did. They beat the Chiefs. So it's a close game. That's it.
Um, for me, I've not been sold on the Philadelphia Eagles all season. I'm still not sold. I don't believe they are contenders. I love the moves of getting Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. I'm very disappointed in one Jerry Jones and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for not trying to get Ndamukong Suh more. Like, the Cowboys, their main issue is stopping the run. You would think Ndamukong Suh's phone would be ringing from Dallas and Tampa Bay. Obviously, the connections in Tampa, but that's neither here nor there. I just think that when the going gets tough and you're gonna ask Jalen Hurts to beat you with his arm. I think he's going to come up short. Not to take anything away from Jalen Hurts' talent. I do think he's a talented quarterback. I do believe he's shut a lot of people up this season. But I just think that there's levels to this, and I don't think he's on that level.
There are all levels. And the Cowboys, for reference, they'd make a trade for Jonathan Hankins. And we saw on Sunday that defensive front, the pass rush is pretty amazing. With the Eagles, we can be honest, PCAP. This is the team to beat in the NFC. Not because they have 9 wins. It's the fact of the matter, this is the best team. The defensive line is outstanding. The cornerback duo is very good. We've seen A.J. Brown not 100%. He was a full participant this last week in practice with an ankle injury. And they've been missing key players. Dallas Goedert, you and I have talked about one of the best tight ends in the football and probably one of the more underrated ones. So not having him, that makes a big time difference. Avonte Maddox, another one of those cornerbacks, those guys play key roles. And I feel like with no Jordan Davis, as well Derek Barnett, also on IR, when the Eagles get those players back, we're going to see this is the most complete team. And Jalen Hurts, his dual threat ability is more than enough to win them games in December because they're going to run the football very well, probably better than any team outside San Francisco, and taking it one step, and New York, the Giants, but they're not going to make it that far. One step further, that passing game is one of the better ones in football. So I think that they have the coaching, they've got the depth, and most of all, they've got the balance to win a Super Bowl this season.
Yeah, for me, I forgot to say, I don't even think the Eagles are the best team in their division. I think the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in that division. I mean, did we just see what the Dallas Cowboys did to the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings?
7 sacks on the road against Kirk Cousins and the boys. So I have to ask you guys a question. Is Dallas's pass rush? We saw the damage they've done against the Giants. We've seen what they just did against the Vikings. That was an embarrassing display by Minnesota, but also a grand display by that Cowboys defense. Is that pass rush? Because BCAP and J-Ray, you guys know well, all too well as Patriot fans, when a team can get pressure with 4 players, that changes the entire game. Is that Cowboys pass rush enough with Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones, and Mike McCarthy in leadership to win them a Super Bowl this season?
Yes, I said it. I said it like, what? I don't know, maybe a month ago when I said the NFC East. I think the Dallas Cowboys are the team that can win a Super Bowl in that division. I don't think they're going to, but I think that they have the best shot to do it. And like you just said, when you only need 4 to get and really, let's be honest, when you got Micah Parsons, you don't really need to dial up blitzes because he'll go get the quarterback. That's what he does. And now he's not even just going to get the quarterback. He's leveled up. What is he doing now? It's not good enough just to get the quarterback. I got to go get that ball. And he's doing it.
I think this Dallas team is the most equipped Cowboys team that we've seen since Tony Romo, DeMarco Murray, and Des Bryant were making a run for it when they lost in Green Bay. So I remember watching those teams, and I thought they were going to the Super Bowl. They should have won that game. So I can say today, yeah, the Cowboys team that we're seeing at full strength, this is the best defense they've had in a long time. And I remember then their defense looked good because they were on the field for short stints. This defense, all in all, is just lights out. This is a top 5 group right now, and headlined by Micah Parsons, who's quickly climbing the ranks to become probably the best defensive player in the football.
Oh, I think he is. I think he is the best defensive player in football right now.
To some, he may be already there. So I think, yeah, this is as good a time as any for Dallas to seize the opportunity. Tampa's struggling. Eagles are still vulnerable. That's a divisional opponent. 49ers, I mean, all the 49ers, that's still a scary team to run into. But, yeah, this is as good a time as any for Dallas.
Quick question for both of you. That was a catch, right?
Yes.
Yes. That was a catch. Okay.
Was a catch.
Yeah, it was a catch. Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Talking about Micah Parsons, and 67% of the snaps on Sunday, didn't play the full game. 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble. The guy, it's 1A, 1B between him, TJ Watt, and then we'll go 1C with Aaron Donald. I think those guys are absolute game breakers. Not just superstars, but one level above that. But I look at Philadelphia, and the difference between Dallas and Philly is better coaching in Philly side, a more rounded defense. That secondary, I think, is a little bit above. And in terms of stopping the run, we've seen both of those teams' woes. Jonathan Taylor ran very well in the first series against that Philly defense, but it took him time. And you look at the depth they have. They're going to get Jordan Davis back. That defensive tackle rotation in Philly it is better than Dallas's. So I want to ask you, B-Cap, you have more faith in the Cowboys. What exactly is it?
Well, they have the best defensive player on either team. Um, and actually, let me just rephrase that. They have the best player on either team in Micah Parsons, offense or defense. And not only that, because I'll give you coaching. Yes, I give you that. In terms of completeness, I will also slightly give you Philadelphia. But here's the other thing. What's the most important position in football? Quarterback. I put my faith in number 4, Dak Prescott, over Jalen Hurts.
What big games has he
Especially,
won?
what big games has he won? He hasn't really. He's got one playoff win, if I'm not mistaken. Jalen Hurts didn't play that well in his first playoff game last year. Dak Prescott lit the world on fire when in his first playoff. I believe it was his first playoff. It was his first playoff game against Green Bay, where they lost 34-31. I was just looking at his stats earlier today of that game, and the kid was balling, dude. The kid was fucking sorry, excuse my French, but he was balling for a 4th-round pick to go in there. I just, he didn't win, and this is a pro wrestling term. There's going over and there's getting over. Going over is winning, but getting over is you might have lost the match, but you got over with everybody around you. That's what made Dak Prescott that year. He might not have won that game, but we all saw it in him that he's got it in him. From a 4th-round pick to a guy who's going toe to toe with Aaron freaking Rodgers, a top 5 quarterback of all time, and was this close to beating him in his first playoff game, his rookie season. You got my respect for life, Dak Prescott.
You're a great point. 302, 3 TDs. And then last year versus San Francisco and Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G played terrible, and so did Dak. And Dak, by the way, 3rd time in the postseason, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th season in the NFL.
But you got to bring up that he is coming off a catastrophic injury, though, too. That was his first season back off that injury.
That is true, but 17 games in the season as well.
It's still the same season, though. It's still the same season for me.
That's why I got Philadelphia and San Fran above them.
I trust, this may sound crazy because he's only played one playoff game, but I've seen enough mistakes out of Dak Prescott against top-tier defenses, or not even just top-tier defenses. I trust the corners on Philadelphia. 2 names, James Bradbury and Darius Slay. Big play Slay, baby. I trust them. I trust them more than the Dallas core. I believe Dak Prescott is likely to make a mistake more than Jalen Hurts will.
Darius Slay, he's Dak Prescott's big brother. Mississippi State boys. That's an insane cornerback, an elite secondary. And let's talk about Micah Parsons. When they played Philadelphia, 0 sacks, one of his worst games of the season, 7 combined tackles. I feel like with Philly's offensive line, they can't contain him. Now, sure, he's going to make plays. He's going to be able to make a difference. But I think Dallas's best player and their biggest asset against that Philly offensive line, which is arguably the best in football, it is, to me, that's going to be neutralized in key moments. And Jalen Hurts, for as poorly as he played last year versus Tampa's defense, that was the worst possible matchup for the Eagles. The best run defense in football. Now this year, they've added a completely new element. And when A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert are both healthy, good night.
Yeah, but also Philly could also get a tough matchup too. Like if they go up against the 49ers, I know Justin for a fact is going with the 49ers if they meet in the playoffs. John probably would go back and forth. I would have to really think about it, seeing how both teams are going into that game. I just gotta, I think, pump the brakes on. You've seen Dak make those mistakes. It's because they allowed Dak more leeway. He is a prototypical passing quarterback. Jalen Hurts is not. The offensive scheme protects Jalen Hurts from making those mistakes. They do. They protect him from making those mistakes because he's not out there playing a Dak Prescott style of quarterback. He's just not. He's being very protected. So that's why you're probably seeing Dak make more mistakes because he's allowed to try more things, and he's standing back, dropping back, and making passes from the pocket while Jalen Hurts is playing a lot of RPO, a lot of option plays. They'll roll out bootlegs and stuff like that.
No, you're right. That's a valid point, but I still, I guess, him being protected is him being smart with the football.
Until he's exposed, though, that's the thing. Until he gets exposed, until a defense he
but
runs into makes him play out of that. And now, because we've seen that so many times where people are having great regular seasons, then you get to the postseason and things are different. They've got 17 games, now 17 games worth of tape on you to study that. And it's the most important game of the season. You got the target on your back. If you're the number one seed too, guess what? You're numero uno. You got the target on your back. Expectations are coming. Pressure's coming for you. And also, a point I forgot to make, I just remembered it. John said Micah got shut out in that Philadelphia Eagles game. He did. I would have to look at the stats around his defensive line around him. It's not always about if Micah gets the stat line and looks like a beautiful box score. He can also impact the game without making all those sacks and stuff. If D-Law gets off, if the other guys on that D line get off, Trayvon Diggs makes a big play. I mean, we just saw Trayvon Diggs has gotten the better. I mean, you could probably attribute it more to the defensive line and pressure that Kirk Cousins was under. But Justin Jefferson in his games against Dallas has been shut down. Absolutely shut down. It's going to be a great matchup. I'd love to see Dallas versus Philadelphia in the playoffs. That's a matchup I would love to see.
I see Philly losing to one of two teams. I could see them losing to Tampa because I still believe we haven't seen Tampa hit their stride. And I could see them losing to San Francisco. Those are the two teams that I see in the NFC as you do not want to run into them. Do not.
Oh, and I just remembered Mr. Future Hall of Famer Tyron Smith is going to be coming back. He's going to be activated next week for the Dallas Cowboys for whatever that's worth. So that's another bolster to that offensive line.
Hasn't played so far this year. So we've seen David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins. It takes all these players time coming off of those injuries where they've got to shake off the rest. And especially in this stage of the year, it's tougher to get back normal. The weather's colder. It's not a guarantee he's just going to improve the O-line at left tackle. Though last year was an all-star or Pro Bowler, Ron Sport, it's going to take him a little bit of time to get adjusted, I think. Next team up, they've made a couple of moves recently. Today, they waived their kicker and Josh Lambo. The Tennessee Titans are 7-3 to begin this year. Top 10 defense, stout run defense, and Derrick Henry is still the best running back in football. Do you guys have any reservations with that?
No.
Saquon, Chubb. And Ryan Tannehill is now healthy. Their offensive coordinator and Todd Downing was arrested earlier last week. DUI. It is tough coming off those road wins. Never should be driving, obviously, in that situation. Always got to get an Uber. That is important to note here. But are the Titans for real? They're in the worst division in football, but they're always finding ways to win games with an elite head coach and a superstar in the backfield.
Oh, the Titans for real. I mean, I feel like such a fool because of how I spoke about them in the beginning of the season. So I don't want to talk down on them. They went toe to toe with Goliath in the Kansas City Chiefs a couple weeks ago. They're playing great football, but I feel like not much has actually changed. We've seen them get to the playoffs the last couple of years, and the same thing happens. Once the run gets stopped, they're done. They're done for. And that's not a knock on Ryan Tannehill, but it's just, you're not him. You're not that guy. And that's all I can say. So I guess I'm going to say pretenders. I don't see them as Super Bowl contenders. Maybe they can, go toe-to-toe in a wild card round and knock somebody out. For sure. That's a surprise. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Derrick Henry goes for 200 in a game. But that's their recipe for success. If Derrick Henry is rushing for 40 yards or 50 yards, they're not going nowhere. I don't see them getting anywhere with Ryan Tannehill. And I have the utmost respect for him too.
Debo to the house.
I just peeped that.
So, I mean, let's just blatantly say what it is, Justin. I mean, you don't want to be disrespectful, but they're not contenders. They are pretenders. While they've had a good season, that's fine, Danny. You have a great head coach. Nobody has ever on this show dissed Mike Vrabel. Our only reservations have been against Ryan Tannehill. And I'll say, but he's not he's a good starting caliber quarterback who can have very good moments. But other than that, is he going to get you over the hump? No, he's not. So this team is only going to go as far as he takes them, and we know where that is.
He's taken them far.
No,
Okay,
you're right.
He reminds me a little bit of a quarterback in Carolina, Justin. Baker Mayfield, former #1 overall pick. A little bit bigger, a little bit more durable, a little bit more consistent. That's what Tannehill reminds me of. He wins. Say what you want about him. He raises the level of his team. You saw what they were with Marcus
No, he
Mariota.
doesn't.
He came in, won comeback player of the year, and this year's having a fine
Okay.
season. There's a lot of quarterbacks he's beaten, and when healthy last week, he just beat Aaron Rodgers. And I made a
Oh,
mistake
not
earlier.
him.
I said Christian Watson
Stop.
had 4 TDs in the season. He had
Stop.
5 in 2 weeks. This one.
Stop. Not him. No, man.
But what is it?
Derrick
What is it that's
Henry, Mike Vrabel, that defense beat those teams, not Ryan Tannehill.
How about Treylon Burks? 7 catches, 111 yards coming off the toe injury last week. He's huge for this offense. He opens up a lot of things. But look, I understand their leading receiver this year, 330 yards. But they have so many different guys who can beat you. I want to give a shout out to Nick Westbrook-Ikini, who has made big plays last year and this season. Austin Hooper, he can in the red zone be a huge threat. And then when you talk about Robert Woods coming off the torn ACL, give him a little bit more time later in the year, he can win you a game. So can Treylon Burks. And with Derrick Henry, I think the Titans have enough weapons to win games. And hey, look, Tannehill, he's not an upper echelon quarterback, but can Tannehill win playoff games? Yes, he has done it before. And Tennessee, for as much as people want to underrate them, always seems to play up to the level of the competition. Almost always. With the exception to Buffalo, that's the one exception to the rule. They always seem to.
What does that mean, though? That they can win games? Nobody's arguing they can't win games. What does that? We're asking, are they contenders? Are you saying that they can win a Super Bowl?
I'm saying they can win a playoff game this year. That's what I'm saying.
No, but that's not the question. Contenders is Super Bowl. Can they win a Super Bowl?
I think the real question I asked, are they for real? And what I mean by that is, can the Titans get back to their highest? And that is the AFC Championship game.
Is that what we play for?
I think that makes you a contender if you can reach the AFC Championship game.
Oh.
So yeah, that's what makes it to me. So I'm asking you if they can do that.
No, it doesn't mean just because you make it to the championship game does not mean you are a contender. There's a lot of circumstances under that can make that way. Did anybody in their right mind think that the Atlanta Hawks with Al Horford and Paul Millsap actually had a legit chance of beating the Cleveland Cavaliers? No. They just got there under circumstance.
That was a one-man conference, my friend.
That I don't give a crap, though. That still makes my point.
And basketball is different, too. Basketball is way more lenient on star power. Football is great teams.
It's not an NFL team.
Fine.
I'll be honest. It's not happening.
Fine. I'll bring it to football then. The Tennessee Titans. They were the #1 seed. Did anybody in the right mind actually think that they were going to win a Super Bowl? No, they didn't. And it's because of who? Ryan Tannehill.
Derrick Henry working his way back off injury as well, man. It's half the season.
John, if this team had Aaron Rodgers, all three of us would be saying these are Super Bowl contenders.
Is this an Aaron Rodgers team, fellas?
Yes.
This could be an Aaron Rodgers team. I did say it. Now, I'm not going to debate with you like, do styles make fights? Yeah, they match up really well with the Kansas City Chiefs. They can play a good, solid brand of football. But when it comes down to it and you load the box and you stop that run, Ryan Tannehill is going to struggle. We've seen it before. We'll see it again.
Look, this is what I'm saying here. If they're the 4 seed, this light is way too damn hot. And they get the Jets, the Patriots, the Chargers, one of those teams, the Ravens in the first round. Can the Titans beat the Ravens in the wild card? Absolutely. I'm trying to get this light to simmer down. And if they can beat the Ravens in the first round, and they match up with Kansas City in the second, I don't think they can beat Buffalo. I think they have almost no chance in Buffalo. But can they beat the Chiefs in the second round? We've seen them almost do it with Malik Willis. And that's not a shot at KC.
They are not beating Kansas City in a playoff
They almost did 3 weeks ago.
Okay,
with a backup quarterback that has no experience.
Have you not seen them lose in the playoffs? Tell me how they've lost in the playoffs. Tell me how those
Patrick Mahomes.
In fact, tell me exactly. They lost to the Chiefs in Arrowhead. And guess what? They had the game. They had it in the first half. They had them. But guess what? Second half started. And the usual things happen. They cannot score in the postseason because in the playoffs, every team is going to try and take out your best option. Once you do, are you going to rely on Treylon Burks to be that guy?
No.
If A.J. Brown couldn't be it, if A.J. Brown and Julio Jones couldn't be it, I don't expect this offense to be able to sustain that when
Yeah.
going into Miami, or Buffalo or Kansas City, if they go toe to toe
Cincinnati.
with a Baltimore or a Cincinnati. I do
How
not
close
think
were they
they're
last
gonna
season to
win
beat Cincinnati?
It won't
How
happen.
close?
This is they lost.
You
But-
name the teams that I can see them beating. That's it.
Justin, and no, but I love how John brought up the fact that can they beat a New England, a New York, a Los Angeles, three teams
Easily.
that have incredible flaws to their team. Three of them. Okay. We're talking the big daddies. No, we're talking upper echelon. No, this is where the big boys sit. Okay.
Champ.
We're talking
Champ. Were the Bengals contenders last season?
yeah, champ.
No.
Were the Bengals contenders last
They
season?
weren't contenders.
Yes.
No.
They were a couple plays away from winning the Super Bowl, so they were surely a contender. The Titans.
Oh, I thought you said the Titans. My bad.
No, the Bengals were
My bad.
contenders last year. Yes.
Ryan Tannehill had 3 interceptions in that game. They sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. And this year, they stopped the run as good as anybody. Jeffrey Simmons, absolute stud. He's probably the second or third best D tackle in football.
But again, you can stop Cincinnati's run game. They got 3 receivers out there, and Joe Burrow, who's a top 7 quarterback in this league, that they trust to go toe to toe and win them the game.
In that playoff game, the Bengals put up 19 points with 3 turnovers. So what I'm getting at here is Cincinnati, yeah, they're still a contender to me, a low-end contender. I felt last year they got a little bit too much hype. Great story. This year they can go to a Super Bowl again. And I feel like Tennessee can beat them the same way they were literally 1 or 2 plays away from beating them last year. And so if the Bengals were a contender and the Titans were inches away from beating them, and they've been inches away from beating the Chiefs, I feel the one team they just can't match up against is the Bills. Outside of that, they can beat any team in the AFC. They wouldn't be favorites in half of those matchups. Against the Baltimore, I think it would be a toss-up, in my opinion. I think it's really 50-50 because the Ravens are too reliant on Lamar Jackson. Then you take a look at the Chiefs, and I don't think they're going to be favorites. They're not. They're probably not on the road, right? But can they beat Kansas City? I give them a 25% chance. And then you look at the Buffalo team. I think there's about a 10% chance to beat Buffalo. But anything can happen in the NFL, and I do think the Titans have a lot more upside than you guys would like to admit.
Well, we'll see. You mentioned the Bengals. That's who they happen to be going up against.
And you guys have the Jacksonville Jaguars winning more games this year, and I told you the Titans are the safe bet. They always are. And what do you know? This year they're 7-3. They're a top 3 seed. You have to stop sleeping on this team because every time you do, they prove you wrong.
Way to go out on a ledge, John. Way to go out on a ledge. You picked the safe team. You know, so boring. You put Justin to sleep. Listen.
I'm sleeping on him, man. And you know it. A contender is somebody that can win a Super Bowl, can get your team to the promised land.
A contender is a team of 1 game away.
Okay,
No,
fine.
it's
But
not
even
that.
fine. You know what? Fine. 1 game away. And it's still not them. It is still not them. Now ask me again next year if they actually pick up Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. Then we'll have that conversation and I'll actually entertain it. But as long as Ryan Tannehill's throwing to that receiving core, no.
Bye-bye.
Talking about high-level quarterbacks, Ravens were able to beat the Panthers. It was a miserable game, 13-3 on Sunday. Not Baker Mayfield's best day this year, of course. You know, with the Ravens, their division's super tough. And we saw them last year get off to a hot start, 7 wins, and they fell off. With Lamar Jackson, we've seen his development as a passer, but ultimately no Rashad Bateman. Mark Andrews has been banged up, and the running back position this year has been constantly plagued by injuries. You don't give Tennessee a chance, sure, but can the Ravens make it to the AFC Championship game? Can they actually win multiple, opposed to what they haven't been able to do in recent seasons?
I still think they can. I just think it's more about health. They need to be healthy. Mark Andrews isn't healthy. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards aren't healthy. I think they have a very good team. Obviously, the receiving core isn't there, but Lamar, I feel like, is enough to get them to an AFC title game. It's just like I said, you need to be healthy. If you're not healthy come January, then you're pretty much you're not going to do much. You're not making a lot of noise.
Yeah. The only reason I would give them a chance is Lamar Jackson and because of how special a player he is, and he can single-handedly take over a game. But other than that, am I favoring them over the other teams in the AFC? No. I don't even think. Excuse me. I don't even think that they are. I still don't think that they're the best team in their own division. I think the Bengals have a much better team. I think the Bengals are going to start uh, firing on all cylinders. It was just around this time last year that they started to hit and get on a roll. So I'm still with the Bengals in this division. I still think Lamar. They don't have enough to surround Lamar with, and that's just where they're at right now.
I still got Baltimore winning the division. I think they'll rally up a couple wins. They got the Jags and the Broncos the next 2 weeks. And then the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers will surprise you. It's a divisional game, so you don't know.
We got Cincinnati versus Baltimore in Cincinnati, last game of the season.
I think that game will decide the division.
That will probably do it.
Agreed. I think the team that wins this division, 11 games, no more. And I disagree with you guys. You talked about, hey, look, if you can neutralize Derrick Henry, you can beat Tennessee. If you can neutralize Lamar Jackson, it's game over for the Ravens. They won this game versus the Baker Mayfield-led Panthers, but they may not have won the war. Ronnie Stanley rolls up his ankle, a player that worked so hard to return from those very ankle injuries, and he's questionable. We'll see when he's able to return, but it's not good having your left tackle, your franchise left tackle, consistently dealing with this injury bug. Now, the last team, Justin, you said you had more faith that you think the Ravens can win this division. Well, in the Bengals, are the Bengals for real? Can they get back this year to the AFC Championship game with those top dogs? You got Miami coming in. What do you think?
I think they're still a contender in my eyes. While I don't see them winning the division, they can contend for a Super Bowl because their team is like it's lightning in a bottle. It can happen at any given moment. If they get hot, they are frightening. And Jamar Chase, while he's not healthy yet, he's working his way back, and they're more optimistic about him coming back close to the end of the season, which is the perfect time for him. So give him as much rest as possible, because if he's healthy at full strength going into the playoffs, I think the Bengals are another team. Like I said, there's a lot of teams that you just don't want to run into. I think the AFC is loaded with those teams where you're like, geez, do I really want to run into a one-game playoff with this guy? No, you don't. Joe Burrow with a clean pocket is probably the best quarterback in football. And Jamar Chase healthy, they're a contender to me. Do I see them getting to a Super Bowl? No. But can they contend for one? Absolutely, because they have just that much talent. And when it's clicking, they proved it last year.
Here's what I gotta say. They have to have probably the toughest schedule to end the season out of anybody. Every team except for one team they finish off. So 5 of the 6 teams that they play have an above 500 record. They play the Titans in Tennessee this upcoming week. They go up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Cincinnati. They get the one reprieve facing the Cleveland Browns in Cincinnati, but it's still a divisional game.
I think Deshaun Watson will be back then too.
And then he might be back. Then they're traveling to Tampa Bay. Then they're going to New England. Then they're taking on the Bills in Cincinnati. And then they finish off the season against the Ravens in Cincinnati. That is a tough, tough road. If they come out with a positive record there, that's a battle-tested team. That's a team that can go to the promised land again. And this last stretch is going to show a lot about what this team is really made of. Getting Jamar Chase back is major. The one concern is, man, if you rush him back and if he gets hurt again, that can mess up the future.
And now winners of 2 straight, while Baltimore is riding high, the Bengals are 2 games over 500, which gives them enough of a cushion to go 500 and still make the playoffs with 10 wins like they did last year, but they won't be a division winner. And I think for the Bengals, in the AFC, there's 3 tiers of true playoff contenders. The Chiefs and the Bills are the top 2 squads in football, arguably. Then you have the Dolphins. They're in the middle, because I love Mike McDaniel's play calling that much. Then the 3rd tier, you have the Titans and the Bengals. After that, Chargers, Jets, Patriots, you name them, the Steelers, all those teams can make it. They're wild card friendly. After that, I feel like those 5 teams can all make the championship game. The rest cannot.
You really snuck the Steelers into that?
Yeah, just that game versus the Bengals was abysmal. The fact that Samaje Perine had 3 touchdowns was just beyond me. And the Steelers' defense this year, for as much as it's paid, It's left a lot to be desired, even when TJ's on the field, and he is still a bona fide game changer. Now, talking about the New England Patriots, I want to ask you guys, we're going to end this show off with one last segment. We're going to talk about who's going to win the NFC. I feel like we covered that before, and Carson Wentz was benched. We can get to that in a little bit. Time to pivot. Talking about young quarterbacks. First one up, Zach Wilson.
I'm pivoting. It's time to pivot.
Fast?
You know, he's so talented, but so is every quarterback in football. There's a ton of talent there, and it's just not coming together. Yesterday it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and I think it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because it went trending. Was I think the question was does he feel like he owes his defense? Like, did he let his defense down? And he said, no. Stupid. What do you mean, no? What do you mean you didn't let your defense down? You completed 9 passes. And then you almost threw one right into the chest of number 32, Devin McCourty. And you just got lucky.
I don't know. What was the worst play there, the drop or the throw?
Yeah, I could not believe it. And you know, the thing is, there's like those flashes in a pan with him. You'll see the arm talent. You'll see him make a nice play out of the pocket. And then he'll couple with it with an overthrow to Braxton Berrios standing 5 yards away from him. Like, it's and the thing is, I've been watching this now weekly. I've been trying to invest myself in watching a little bit more of Jets football to see this. And it's the same thing. It is the same thing over and over again. He's nothing is changing. Joe Flacco is still leading that team in touchdown passes with 5.
And he's still the better quarterback, Justin.
With 5 touchdowns, Zach Wilson has less than that in 7 games. And so now, you know, everybody gets on me when it comes to like Jimmy G, and I love Jimmy G because he wins. And right now, Zach Wilson has been winning, so somebody could throw that argument at me. But at least Jimmy G doesn't do that. This guy is clearly lost that the NFL game is too fast for him. Yo, half of your defense is liking posts about you on Twitter. And they're like, oh, nah, I'm accidentally.
That's true.
Yes, that is true. Sauce Gardner had to say, oh, nah, I didn't mean to do that. It was an accident. Another Jets player even said, nah, I did it by an accident. How many accidents? Yeah, Denzel Mims wide open for a touchdown. No lie, as a Patriots fan, I'm super stoked with the win. Happy how, you know, the way it ended was electrifying. Awesome. But you know what? We should have lost. The Jets had so many open receivers all day, and he did not get the ball to them. I'm sorry. There's a reason why Robert Saleh came out today and said he is uncommitted to his quarterback for this upcoming weekend. And it's because you just might have 2 better options in Joe Flacco and Mike White. Because you have talent on that outside. Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore are 2 very good skilled receivers. Very, very good talents. And they're working with that. How much do you think your talent is going to grow when you got that guy under center? It's not. And I have a cousin of mine who I've mentioned multiple times, who's thought Sam Darnold was the savior. He knows he's wrong about that now, and he even he told me yesterday, yo, we need a new quarterback, straight up. This guy has to go. We need it because they have the roster. They just don't have the quarterback.
And real quick, BCAP, Jimmy Garoppolo can actually hit a player in the flat. Let me repeat that. Jimmy Garoppolo can actually hit a player at the line of scrimmage, and that is a kind of useful skill in the NFL.
That's a very useful skill for a quarterback. And you know what? Credits to Mac Jones. Mac Jones played a good game. Just a ton of pressure. Just got literally attacked. I mean, we need a better offensive coordinator to create some plays to get us into the end zone. But yeah, I digress.
Ton of credit goes to Brandon Cap too for being right about Zach Wilson this entire time. While you guys tried to tell me, "Oh, Brandon, you don't know what he's talking about. He's doing this."
Listen, you can't. Nobody could ever say I didn't try. I did try to like the guy. I did try to find something, but I don't know if is it just a Bill Belichick thing? Because
No.
his worst games of his career are just against the Patriots to me. I think.
Yeah,
You know the
but
one
even
exception
take
to the rule,
away
Justin?
what happened.
What happened?
You know the one exception to the rule?
What?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh,
No, but no, it's not just a Bill Belichick problem. It's
but he
Zach Wilson
doesn't.
problem.
But he
It
doesn't
does,
look as
Justin.
bad
They
against
do. They
other
did a
teams. You know.
stat line. I'm almost positive if I'm getting this number off the top of my head right. The New England Patriots numbers are terrible. Take away those games, I think he's still 11 touchdowns to like 9 interceptions in his other games.
Yeah,
That's
I did.
crap.
That's the stat that I read you guys
Yeah,
last week. Yeah.
that's crap. Um, it's and again with this talent, we keep calling him talented, right? He's got this thing, right? He's got this thing. I think we kind of got to stop it
Did you see his
because
pro day though?
what's more important though? What's more important, intangibles or talent?
No, you're 100% right.
You're
It's intangibles. It's intangibles. I want a guy who's going to take accountability, who's going to be a great leader, especially at the quarterback position in the NFL. You're a professional and you're going to stand up there and you're going to say, "No, I didn't let my defense down." You know what you can do with you know what you can do. I won't say it on air, but you know what you can do. He showed us exactly who he is. And it's what I said. He's a prima donna. He's got a massive ego. He trusts his arm way too much. He thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. He thinks he's Aaron Rodgers, and he's really not. He's not at all. Okay, because he had open receivers, like Justin said, and he's just missing them. Just straight up missing
Not
them.
even looking at them.
It's embarrassing. So really, is he talented, or do we just get lost in the arm angles?
Well,
Because
I emphasize
even
arm talent.
yeah,
Yes,
but
arm
again,
talent.
that stuff doesn't mean jack diddly squat when you don't got it in here. When you don't got it in here, you don't deserve to be out there.
It's been the
Well,
last
he should be smart. Did he not graduate from BYU? Is that a college?
3 years
Well,
there.
no,
for
that's what I'm
his
saying.
diploma.
When we spoke about him earlier in one of our earlier episodes, I mentioned he has the talent on the field to be good, but does he have the IQ, the football IQ to do so?
So I think he was doing a little too much, texting you know what's during college and not in his
Cougars.
not in the classroom studying the books. He was studying something else.
Let me say, to not get too off course, he's had very good moments. The Steeler game, he won them that. And then against the Dolphins the following week, he did just fine. The last month for me has just done it with Zach Wilson. Not only can he not play NFL quarterback, he can't play NFL quarterback in New York. He can't take accountability. And like you said, BCAP, he's starting to come off like a prima donna. As a professional, as a leader, as the quarterback of the New York Jets, you take accountability. The fact that he didn't speaks, number one, he's partially, it sounds like he's naive, but more so, he's just stubborn. It's quite simple. You have to say the right things. And when you can't even do that, Jets, the players, the locker room, they're going to say, dude, what are you doing? You're losing us the game. And then you're single-handedly going out and kind of just taking no accountability for it. And I think for this New York Jets team, you have to pivot. Next quarterback up, fellas.
Wait, John, I just want to say, New York Jets fans, Mark Sanchez is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson.
They both win a lot of games and they both get carried. I'm not too sure. I want to
No, because you want to know why? Mark Sanchez took accountability.
Are you saying he knew who he was?
He knew exactly what he was. He knew, but at least he took the accountability for his mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it wasn't his mistake, I guarantee he would take the accountability because that's what a goddamn leader does. Continue, John.
You're right. We have two quarterbacks left. The other was the 15th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, Mac Jones. J-Ray, you complimented him before. Is it time to pivot for the Patriots off of Mac Jones or something else?
No, it's not time to pivot from Mac Jones. It's time to pivot from Matt Patricia. I think that's the best thing because I've said it before. This is a quarterback that you invest a first round pick in. Okay. So what are you gonna do for the quarterback? How are you gonna make him better? What are you gonna put around him to elevate his game? And instead of building around it, you've taken from him. And I don't feel like, obviously, I think we can all agree easily that that's not a recipe for success. While Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, your quarterback still needs somebody in that QB room. Your quarterback needs the perfect quarterback coach the perfect offensive coordinator to help him blossom, to help him grow. He needs a number one weapon on the outside or something that's going to develop into a number one weapon in the future. There's none of that there, and that's not a knock because I feel like the receivers on the Patriots, they're not bad. They're talented receivers. Jacoby Myers is a very good receiver, but they're not number ones. They're not going to elevate your game. And I feel like it. Like I said, I think they're shooting Mac Jones in the foot here. Hopefully next year things change because there's no secret he has massively regressed. But it's not. I don't think it's solely because of him. I think it's because of what is around him. And I'd like to just solely point at offensive coordinator as the reason why.
Yeah, there's no time to pivot. Um, Again, I don't subscribe to the same method a lot of people do, where it's overreact to something doing great or overreact to something doing bad. Both ways. I don't overreact. I saw what Mac Jones did last season. I saw some good things. I saw some bad things. This season, it's been more bad than good. That can be explained though. Obviously, the injury. Obviously, Matt Patricia being the offensive coordinator and Joe Judge somewhere in that mix too. Two guys who've never coached offense in their entire professional career as football coaches. But I think, like I've said, since we lost to the Bears, and I didn't disown them, but I said this season's a wash. It's not. I don't care what happens this season. I'll pick the games. I'll say if they're going to win. I'll say if they're going to lose. But I do not care what happens because I saw what I needed to see against Chicago. Um, so for me, like I said, the future is bright. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel for this team. I've constantly said, we have a top 5 cap space coming up in the offseason. We're going to have a good pick in the first round. Because even if we make the playoffs, we're probably going to get bounced around and bounced in the wild card game. So we'll have a good pick. And there are rumors that Bill O'Brien could be making his way back to New England, and that would be a very welcome sight. You roll your eyes, Justin, but it is a massive upgrade.
I roll my, but yeah,
Patricia.
I'm saying like I'm
I
not
mean, he
wowed by
can.
it, but it's better
He's
than
not a
what we
great
had.
head coach. He's not even a good head coach. He's a very good offensive coordinator, and I love him in that spot, especially behind a Bill Belichick. I love him in that spot. I think Matt can learn a lot from Bill O'Brien
He
and a
really
lot
does,
to do
baby.
right. But and I think the receiver and even like Jacoby Myers has kind of struggled this season too. He really hasn't been what he was last season. Maybe that's injuries, probably a lot to do with Matt Patricia as well, not being a very good schemer. I think the future is bright though for the New England Patriots.
Fair enough. I think Bill Belichick, fellas, is in the quarterback room with Mac a lot more than you think. I don't think those means are just Mac and Matt Patricia in a closet. I think Belichick watches film with him and in practice each and every single week trying to help him as well. The play calling, though, surely could be better. And you said it before. When we think of coaches who try to be the next Belichick, we think of Matt Patricia, we think of Joe Judge, and I gotta just forget the OG. It kind of is, unless I'm forgetting someone else off the top of my head. Bill O'Brien, the guy that thought he could trade DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of potato chips and really try to run his team like the Patriots when he never actually had the credentials. He would be good, though, for New England. Last quarterback, fellas, this shouldn't even take much time for us, is Kenny Pickett.
By the way, Jimmy G now has 3 touchdown passes on Monday Night Football.
Is that like more than Baker Mayfield all this season in one game? It might be. Kenny Pickett is the last quarterback up, fellas. This year for Kenny Pickett has been a tale of two halves. I feel like he is very similar to a quarterback Brandon loves in Dak Prescott, where he does not wow you. He doesn't have the escapability of a Mahomes, the arm talent, a Josh Allen, or Justin Fields' athleticism. But he has enough good traits to me. He has a good arm. He is obviously an NFL arm. It's not above average, but it's certainly suitable. He's a good athlete with good mobility, decent pocket presence that is developing but still needs some work, decent process. He has some bad plays, but generally takes solid care of the football. I know a lot of people would point at the turnovers, but a lot of them have kind of been on his receivers. And last but not least, with Kenny Pickett, he has moxie. And I've seen a lot of NFL fans say, not just John, in general, the Steelers should move off of Kenny Pickett because he doesn't have the upside of a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud in this upcoming year's draft. And I just look at the 2021 NFL quarterback class. We praise Trevor Lawrence, but the same things he struggles with, Kenny Pickett does. Kenny's 1 year older. He's 24. I feel like with Pickett, the Steelers have a potential franchise quarterback. He is not the issue. But for you two guys, after 7 games in the NFL, for the Steelers, should they pivot off of Kenny Pickett?
I think it's too soon. I'd say it's too soon. He's a young guy. He was tossed in there in the middle of the season. It's not like he had a full off season where he was working with starters. I think it's just something like it needs to take time. Pickens, it's going to take time as well. He's going to grow with them at receiver. Steelers are great at picking receivers, so he's going to have excellent people to throw to. Yeah, I wouldn't jump the gun so soon. He hasn't looked in fantastic, but like you said, he does have moxie. He is tough, and you know that. But you knew that going into it, so it's just repetition.
Yeah, no, you're not moving off a rookie quarterback who just spent a first round pick on after 1 season. You got to give him at least his contract to play out before you even, unless it's abhorrently bad, which it's not been that bad. Like it's not a Josh Rosen situation here. He's fine. He'll be fine. I do have high hopes for him, but that's all I can really say. I think you're more of a future team too. You've got some things that you need to figure out. Obviously, John's not a big fan of Mr. Canada, and the O-line has been a problem for the past, I don't know, how long, like 5-6 years. Yeah, a couple of years. Too long. So yeah, just a couple things to figure out, clean up, and I think you guys will be, as long as Kenny Pickett progresses, I think you guys will be just fine.
Well said, Brandon. I appreciate that. I do, because a lot of people are putting at the quarterback without acknowledging the left tackle, the drops at receiver, and the defense that is one of the worst in football in spite of being the most compensated.
Still won't beat the New England Patriots, but
that is kind of true. You know what's also true? Jimmy Garoppolo, get ready for this stat, PCAP. I know you're going to love it. It's 35-17 as a starting quarterback since being traded to San Francisco. Do you know what the non-Jimmy Garoppolo quarterback's record is during that span?
I don't know.
38 games.
38 wins?
9-29 without Jimmy G.
Oh, the 49ers?
Think about there. Yep.
Oh, yeah. He's also like I think I forget the stat, the quarterback that's, won the most games without even throwing a passing touchdown.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lot. It was a lot. I think it was 10.
Right? It was like
it was something. But yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo. Way to go, Jimmy.
Hey, an excellent game manager.
Yeah, that's what I'm
allows
saying.
the budget areas for
team. You can't knock it. The 49ers offense doesn't need a quarterback they don't need a Josh Allen. They're a team that it's not one person that beats you, it's everybody. Look at just today, how many people are touching the football,
Are you sure? Because what cost them the Super Bowl win, though?
One bad throw by their quarterback.
All right, though, but it was
the
throw.
One bad throw. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, it's not the guy that they're looking for. They're looking for a guy that's going to do the job. And Jimmy G was one throw away from winning them a Super Bowl, and probably another throw away from leading them to 2 Super Bowls. So, or Jaquiski's tart interception from taking them to another Super Bowl. He's a winner. You gotta show. He got a lot of crap. I remember Mina Kimes got on him too for how bad of a quarterback he is, but what is he doing? He's just winning.
Well, you just brought up 2 moments where he lost, but
oh my gosh. Okay.
He did he not? Is that not a fact?
Yes. But
what I'm the man that gets paid and wins football games.
Yeah, he took an L.
Plus, he's Italian, BCAP. He's one of your own. He's one of your own.
I don't.
He's good looking. Justin, what's his nickname? I forget what it is.
Porn star Jimmy.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure why, but that's a funny nickname.
Because he went out. Somebody
went on a date with a porn star.
Yeah.
I was insinuating for the viewers to search it. They know.
Well, now they
Last
know.
topic is Taylor Heineke is a player that is on his 5th NFL team. He's actually a former New England Patriot player that was once on their practice squad in 2017. And he is 4-1 this year with the Commanders. Carson Wentz, on the other hand, the quarterback. I muted myself. Carson Wentz, the quarterback he is filling in for on IR with a finger injury, is 2-4 as the Commander starter. Maybe I'm being crazy here, but I feel like before Josh Allen's takeover, there was Carson Wentz, the 6'5" quarterback with a strong arm, good athleticism, great escapability, and most of all, the ability to turn around an Eagles organization that in years before won 7 games, won 10 games with Chip Kelly. The Chip Kelly era ended on a bad note. And for Carson Wentz to come in and be an MVP candidate in just a second season as a former number 2 overall pick, most people put him up into the conversation of top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. He had the talent, he had the pedigree, and most of all, he was performing on a high-level team. Then he tears his ACL. He has the concussion. Nick Foles in back-to-back seasons is able to deliver them playoff wins and a Super Bowl. And since then, it's all been downhill. And I look at, what you look for in a franchise quarterback now. Accuracy, durability, consistency, and leadership. And it seems like Wentz lacks all of those 4 things. And what he also lacks is luck. He has now been on 3 straight teams that have all dumped him. That's what it seems like on the outside looking in. And now, I'm going to head to you guys. Taylor Heineke is the move for the Commanders because he galvanizes the team akin to a Ryan Fitzpatrick. Is Carson Wentz's days as a starter finally over?
Well, yeah, I think so. This is now team number 3. I don't see him becoming the next Ryan Fitzpatrick anytime soon. Like you said, Taylor Heineke is a guy that his teammates are rallying around. People are pumped up when he's out there, and they're playing for him. You don't get that same appeal from Carson Wentz. And granted, Carson Wentz wasn't terrible for Indy last year, but he was terrible when they really needed him the most. You know what I mean? So I think that's just who Carson Wentz is, and unfortunately, I think injuries played a part in it because I think we were looking at a very bright career before all those injuries. But yeah, I think it's done. I think it's done. He'll be competing for a starting job next year somewhere else, but it definitely won't be a guarantee the way it was in Washington this year. So he'll have a job. Don't know where it will be. Probably still Washington, right? His contract is tied to them, but
They haven't now after this season.
they do.
Yeah.
Katriak, as they usually do.
Yeah. Carson Wentz is I think his days of being a starting quarterback are over. Yeah, sucks to see. I mean, from a high to a fall, as quick as a drop of a hat.
Mhm.
That's why I say, listen, they can have a great season. Then what happens right after? It's all about the follow-up. Always about the follow-up.
Is there a team that can fix him?
No,
Tennessee.
no. I mean, listen, is Wentz more talented than Ryan Tannehill? Yes. But is Ryan Tannehill the safer option? Yes.
I think if there's any team for Carson Wentz,
There's no team for Carson Wentz. He's a backup.
I would have said
Tampa
the Saints
Bay.
if Sean Payton was there.
Who?
It's Tampa
Said-
Bay.
Tampa Bay.
Tom Brady could be gone, whether it's retirement or leaving the Buccaneers. And there's going to be an opening for that front office to look for a quarterback. Kyle Trask is not the guy, and Blaine Gabbert on the roster is surely not going to fill in. The Buccaneers are going to be a market for a quarterback. And I think Daniel Jones is going to get franchise tagged by the Giants. He would, in theory, be an option. And then you look at the rest of the quarterback market. Carson Wentz may be the best guy for them in 2 years or so. And he may move around as backup, ultimately, I think Carson Wentz is going to have one more shot in the NFL as a starter. He's probably going to be on a team looking to find that bridge quarterback for a season, akin to a Teddy Bridgewater. And there's going to be some opportunity out there. It's just not going to be a place where you'd initially expect.
I say the Saints, so I'm still looking in the NFC South, but
I
yeah.
think you just draft one. Oh, hey, I forgot the Eagles had the first round pick. Never mind.
And I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't know why you would go with Carson.
Or Pittsburgh.
That's messed up. That's fine.
Nothing, John?
He's got nothing to say.
Kenny Pickett doesn't work out. Carson.
He couldn't come up with anything slick to say to
you. he froze. I froze him.
What's up? Look, he muted himself now. He doesn't even know what to say.
He's processing it. He thinks it's gonna work.
Yeah, reboot. Beep, 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 beep.
He's trying to
Kenny
convince
Pickett has a
himself.
higher QBR than Mac Jones this year. You know who also has a higher QBR than Mac Jones? Russell Wilson. Cooked Russ. That's who has a higher QBR as well. So maybe next team for Carson Wentz may be the AFC East.
Just knew it. Yeah, right.
Patriots, like the Jets, are a quarterback away, right?
You just had to say something to get back at it. That's it. Just had to.
But we can always just go back to we beat you. We beat you.
Yeah, and you're missing our best player. If you guys are missing Bill Belichick, you're not winning that football game, right? So let's be real here, buddy.
I mean, let's be real. We dominated.
We missed a top 10 player in football that's being paid literally a third of our quarterbacks changed. Of course, we're not going to be as good without him.
Dominated you the past 20 plus years too. So
unbelievable. With all that being said, thanks so much for watching and staying to the very end of episode number 52, or I forget what it was in Spanish. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Stay classy.